Hi folks, my name is Greg Bayne. I'm one of the directors of TLC Solutions Australia. We are passionate about organisations and teams and assisting individuals to be mentally well, physically well and emotionally well. And over the course of the next 6 videos, we're going to be sharing some strategies, some tools and some frameworks that can assist you as an individual to be physically well, mentally well and emotionally well. So let's get started. In this first video, we're going to introduce mental well-being and resilience, and in particular, we're going to look at a framework for understanding mental health outcomes in the workplace. Let's start with the statistics. Now, I know and you know the statistics, you've heard about them in the media, that 1 in 5 Australians experience mental health concerns every 12 months. So if you look around the room around you right now and the people sitting next to you, there's a handful of you in your group who are potentially going to be experiencing, and perhaps even yourself, experiencing some kind of mental health concerns this next 12 months. And this is why this is such an important topic we need to address and start talking about. Of a greater concern is our help-seeking behaviour, and men in particular are not good at asking for help. We know women are more comfortable sharing their emotions. They often have a greater support group around them, whereas men, we're a little bit less comfortable talking about our emotions and how we're feeling about things. We also know that out of a team or a group of people in an organization, every group, every team, every organization has a percentage of people who need help, which is around 25-30% of people who need some kind of help. Out of that group of 25-30%, there's 10%, 10 to 15% who are actually seeking help. They're going to the psychologist, they're using the EAP, they're going to the doctor, they're doing something, they know they need to be addressing an issue and they're sorting it out. Which leaves another 10-15% of people who are not seeking help. They need help, but they're not seeking help. And this is our greatest concern. And this is why we are so passionate about addressing mental health concerns, is because it's about that group of people who need help but not seeking help. And that could be you or could be some people around you. We also need to address the stigma of mental health. And we need to start having much more courage to have these conversations around mental health and ask people how they're tracking and be able to have open conversations around mental health concerns and reduce the stigma associated with it. Now, there's a fantastic framework that we use to understand mental health outcomes, particularly in organizations, and it's from a document called Developing Mentally Healthy Workplace 2014. It's publicly available and you can access it off the internet, and it's a fantastic document. And this document describes a framework that helps us understand what predicts mental health outcomes in teams. And there's 3 factors that contribute to mental health outcomes. The first are organizational factors. Part of this is the actual job itself, the nature of the job. Is it a roster? Is it FIFO? Is it residential? Is it long hours? Are you doing day shift, night shift? So for example, firefighters, they're on a 2-day, 2-night roster. Potentially exposure to trauma. So there's something about the job itself that potentially puts them at risk. Then there's a team and group factors, and team and group factors is about the level of support that I'm feeling from the team. Do I feel like I can trust the people around me? Do we have good interpersonal relationships? Can we have open and honest conversations? And this is a significant factor in predicting mental health outcomes. And then the final component of the organizational factors is just organizational change. It's the stuff that's going on in the organization, it's the level of support people are feeling, and its actual environment itself. Then there's a multiplying factor on top of those organizational factors. This is homework conflict. Homework conflict is where we have this tension between home and work. Now, the ideal situation, there's no conflict at all. The expectations from home match the expectations from work, and there's no conflict. But this can very easily start escalating where there's expectations from home differ from the expectations from work. And this creates a conflict and potentially significant negative emotions. So this could be as simple as my boss is a little bit demanding, has a tendency to come in late afternoon, say, hey Greg, I just need this piece of work done before close of business. Now I know it's going to be a 2-hour job, which means I'm only going to get home 7:30. But I've got a partner at home who wants me back home to go and help with the kids, etc. And now I've got to make a decision. I've got to decide, do I just go home and not get it done, or do I get the job done? Now, like you, like me, most of us are going to go, yep, I'm going to get the job done. So what we do is we stay at work and we get the job done. Now at home, my partner's going to be upset. So I get home and so we get this tension between home and work expectations, and that can very quickly start escalating. Or perhaps it's something around something going on at home, my personal life. I've got a daughter who's struggling with some drugs and abusive relationships, and it really is distracting my time. And I'm getting this tension between I have to be at work, and I'm getting torn between that distraction from home and having to get my work done. So now there's this tension that starts rising. And the negative emotions that can result as this conflict rises is significant and has a major impact on mental health outcomes. And then the third factor is our own individual stuff. We all have issues. We all have some stuff around our genetics, our predispositions, our thinking styles, and that in itself can also predict mental health outcomes. So let's have an example. Through my adolescence, I had a major depressive episode. In my adulthood, I've had ups and downs. There's times when I've been good, and there's times when I've crashed, back on the medication, and trying to recover. I also have a tendency to be quite pessimistic, black and white in my thinking. So I've got issues. I've got a history of mental health concerns, and there's times when I'm not traveling so well. But I've got a highly supportive team. I've got a great team environment. I've got a great boss, a great leader. I feel really valued in the workplace. There's high levels of trust and support. And my partner and I have regular discussions around expectations from home and work. We have shared goals and shared objectives. And my leader also has conversations with me about expectations. What's the actual risk for my mental health outcomes? It's actually low. And as long as I'm taking care of those expectations and I have a really supportive team, high trust, feel valued in the workplace, I can actually and as long as I'm managing myself, I can minimize the impact of mental health outcomes. So the key message is as individuals, if we manage our own stuff, we can potentially address mental health outcomes. And as teammates, we can support each other and create an environment of trust. And if we're having regular discussions around expectation from home and work and reduce that homework conflict, we can absolutely have a massive impact on our mental health outcomes in the end. And over the next couple of videos, we're going to be exploring some strategies and some tools and some frameworks to assist you as an individual to not only manage yourself and to look after your own mental well-being, but also how do you support your teams, your teammates around that mental health concerns and minimizing mental health outcomes.